So here we are back at ViewSonic stand, and it is day 3 in the ViewSonic household. We're still here, we're still holding out strong, we haven't gone home yet. Really excited to introduce our next speaker today, and that is Amy. And Amy is from Little Learners, and maybe you'd like to introduce yourself to start with.
Sure, thank you so much. Hello everyone. I'm really excited to be at BETT today with ViewSonic. So my name's Amy. I am an education consultant. I primarily can be found on YouTube, making videos for parents and teachers of children in early education. I specialise in early years education, and I also offer consultations for teachers and parents who are struggling to get to grips with the development of their children.
Brilliant, thank you, and thank you for spending some time with us today. What I'd like to do is maybe ask you a couple of questions, and obviously we're at BETT. BETT is a massive EdTech industry event, but I guess my question to you is, how do you see young learners being supported by education technology?
Yeah, so technology is such a big part of teaching now, and it's growing at a rapid rate. We definitely use technology to support learners of all different abilities, and technology really helps us to do that. So, for example, children who are high achievers, we can use coding robots with them. For example, in reception we like to do that a lot, and maybe a child who is really confident in coding, you can get them to do a really long journey for their robot, but a child who needs a lot more support, you might stick to just 3 small instructions, keep going over that, and so they're able to access the same learning and all be doing the same activity, but you're able to tailor it to that child's needs. You also have the fact that children can research independently, so if they have tablets in the classroom, they can all be accessing different learning within the same classroom. They can be independent learners and not having to rely on their teacher or the possibly limited amount of books they have in their classroom. They can access the wider world. Certainly for children who have English as an additional language, EdTech is really important. There are lots of platforms where children can read ebooks online. If they're reading at home with their parents, the books can be read to them, so their parents don't have to worry about getting the language correct, so that can be really supportive. And then really the biggest parts of EdTech that we use in our classrooms are our digital interactive whiteboards, and that just really makes our learning so much more interactive, so much more engaging. Children can really get involved, and it allows us to support different types of learners, so visual learners, but then also the learners who really learn best by doing, and that means we can really get them involved in the learning.
Okay, and what about the routine? I think of, my young children, when I had young children, how important is the routine in when we talk about EdTech and learning?
Yeah, so as I said, I specialise in early education, and for very young children, routine is so important to help them learn, to help them feel comfortable and confident in a classroom, and so we use a lot of technology in the classroom to do that. So for example, when the children come in the morning, before we've even taken the registers, we'll have something interactive up for them on the digital whiteboard, and they can be getting on with that while all the chaos is going on around them, children putting their bags away, parents trying to talk to the teacher. They know exactly what's expected of them when they come in the morning, and they can interact with that technology because they do it every day. It's also great for transitional periods during our day. So if we have playtime and children come in and they're very energetic and just can't sit still, we might have some mindfulness on the board that allows us to have access to maybe a professional that we wouldn't normally have access to in our classroom, because there's lots of platforms we can use for mindfulness and help children to calm down. We also have, at different times of the day, activity. So we might have on the board, we're following someone doing a dance or an exercise, and the children get involved in that. And we have all of those at different times of the day. Children always know when those are going to be, and they know that they can interact with the technology, and they know exactly what to expect, which is very helpful for young children.
Yeah, and I guess with young children, it's the wider community that's really important. So how do you see EdTech playing a role in that, widening the community, the families with the young learners?
Yeah, definitely. So EdTech isn't just for the classroom, it also goes home as well. So we have lots of children whose parents are very difficult to get hold of. It's very difficult to have that connection and that relationship that you want to have. And as children get older, it gets even harder because you're not seeing them at the classroom door all the time. So with platforms that allow you to communicate with parents at home, that is crucial because it creates this pathway of communication you didn't have before. It also allows you to document children's learning and share that with families at home, and they can share things that the children have been doing at home as well. So you kind of create this holistic view of the child, and everyone knows what's going on in the child's life. It really helps to build a trust between families and the school. And when families do come in to speak to their child's teacher, there usually aren't any surprises because they already know what's been going on at school. So it really just helps to build that trust between the schools and families at home.
And I guess that trust is absolutely critical to the families and the community.
Absolutely. Having trust between the school and children is vital. If you don't have it, then there is a complete breakdown. Children definitely learn better when everyone is on the same page and everyone feels supported. I've certainly had parents in the past who have been worried about how to support their child at home, and they need that support from the school. So using EdTech, you can give them the tools to do that, so they can be using some of the systems at home that we're using at school. So that's that continuity of learning, and parents feel more empowered to be able to support their child with their learning at home.
Brilliant. And, you know, I always like to look at what are the wicked challenges. I know sometimes we say problems, but I think challenges is a better word. You know, if you had to list a couple of the key challenges in working with young learners, what would be your number one wicked problem?
So I think the biggest challenge that became very clear during the lockdowns was access. So access to technology. For a lot of families at home didn't have that access, and so the continuity of learning amongst all children was very difficult. And obviously a lot of schools during that time have invested a lot in education technology and really see the value in it now. I think the other thing is that when you introduce new technology into a school, having the time to actually train your teachers how to use it can be really difficult. So making sure that you're really doing your research when it comes to different technology you want to use, and finding one that really encompasses lots of different aspects of learning. So you can learn to use one system that does a few different things for you, something that's really user-friendly, like your boards that you're showing here today. And then obviously making sure with e-safety, whenever I talk to teachers about a new platform, a new system, a new piece of hardware, they're always asking about e-safety. And so making sure that you know about the privacy settings on certain tech, or you are getting advice like from the NSPCC, things like that, to make sure you feel comfortable with the e-safety aspect of it as well.
And they've, you know, there's lots of settings where we would have young learners. What would be your advice if somebody's listening to this today and thinking, oh, I want to have a look at that, but I'm not quite sure how to move forward? What are some practical things that, you know, a young learner setting, a preschool, a nursery, maybe something attached to a school, where would you suggest they start?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of hesitancy, I think, amongst teachers, because there's just no time and it's scary learning something new. But it really can impact your teaching and really enhance your teaching as well. So I think it's important to look at how EdTech can support learning rather than replacing anything or adding anything extra onto your workload. So for example, in reception, we do lots of observations of children. We're always taking photos of them. We are writing notes about their development. Having just something as simple as having a couple of tablets in the classroom makes it so much easier to do that. You can take it on the go, you can be doing that outside, you can do it in the moment rather than having to come back, remember what you saw, write it all down. And it also means that children can be documenting their own learning as well. So we might take out some cameras and take photos of the environment around us at each season, and then at the end of the year look back and see how it's changed. So it allows us to kind of document and review our learning as well. So there really are some great benefits to introducing technology into your classroom.
Brilliant. And I can see you've got a website called Little Learners.
Yes.
Is that a good place to go if people want some guidance and help, or want to maybe ask further questions?
Yes, well, I hope so. Yes, so littlelearners.education, you can find all of my videos on there. So I've got all the videos about early education from a teacher's point of view, from a parent's point of view. I've also got a video on there that I did with ViewSonic, introducing some of your software. So yes, that's definitely somewhere to go where you can kind of find all of my things and ask any further questions that you have. I'm always happy to talk to anyone who wants to discuss child education.
Fantastic, and it's really interesting to talk to you. If there's one thing you want people to remember, because we've covered a lot of topics here, what would you say is the one thing for the parents, the teachers, everybody who's listening to this, what would they like to remember? What would you like them to remember?
I think it's really important to remember that technology has to be part of our children's lives. There can sometimes be, as I said, some hesitancy towards it, but technology is no longer something like when I was at school, when you had to learn this new thing and it was kind of one subject on its own. It's the world that our children live in now, and I think something like 65% of children in the future will be doing jobs that aren't even invented yet. So it would be a disservice to them not to immerse them in the world of technology. And so just remember how much value that technology can give to children, and we can definitely integrate it into education really easily.
Brilliant, and it's been really nice to talk to you, Amy, today, and hopefully we'll continue the conversation and continue it on your site, on the ViewSonic site. But thank you for your time, thank you for sharing with us, and I look forward to looking at Little Learners when I get 5 minutes myself, so thank you.
Thank you for having me, thank you so much.